Every now and then you come across an anime that does one element so well that it actually overshadows the rest of the series and ultimately works against it. Erased is one of those shows. For those of you who haven't heard, Erased is pretty much the most popular anime coming out of the winter 2016 season. Everyone was watching it, everyone was talking about it, and everyone made sure to catch each new episode. And unless you've been living under a rock, you know that the finale not only disappointed, but actually pissed a lot of people off. Everyone thought this series was going to have that finale that everyone was talking about, that was obsessed with and dissected and was just perfect. That is not what happened. The ending for a lot of people disappointed and was just overall, yeah, it was a disappointment. But it does stand to reason what went wrong for this series. And that's what I'm here to maybe divulge and give a little ideas to where things for Erased ultimately did go wrong. And we can't do that unless we start off with the premise. Erased is, like I said, a 2016 anime that's actually initially set in 2006. But actually, the events leading to the series are set in 1988, when a small Japanese suburb was terrorized by a serial killer who killed 3 young children. Now, the killer was assumed caught when a young man named Yuki was prosecuted and put in jail for this. And as far as most people were concerned, that was the end of it. Save until 18 years later when our main character Satoru is approached by his mother, who hints but never directly tells him until it's too late that she thinks Yuki was not the killer and that it was actually someone else. And that's pretty much where our series gets off, because before the reason she can't tell Satoru this is his mom gets murdered, dead, taken out, pretty gruesomely too. And so you think going into this, the series is about Satoru trying to figure out what his mother was onto, find the person who killed his mother, save Yuki's future, and pretty much just solve this 18-year murder case. Actually, no! It is not that. Instead, we find out in the first episode, through a very cool effect, Satoru can time travel. He can't, do Doctor Who stuff, but he goes back within his own life cycle to usually a few minutes before something bad happens and has to prevent it. It's basically Quantum Leap meets About Time, but with less ridiculous haircuts. And the thing is that, so now you think, okay, Satoru's going to use that, because after finding his mother's dead body, Satoru travels back to before the first child was kidnapped. So you think, okay, this could be interesting. Now Satoru has to figure out a way to solve the murders before they happen, with no evidence, no idea who it could have actually been, and just struggling to try and remember what happened, while also having to try and seem like he's just a normal kid, and having to deal with the limitations that being a kid sets on him while trying to do something like this. Actually, no! And this is where things go wrong for this show. But does it really? It does. It does ultimately what hurts this show and shoots it in the foot. But Satoru decides that the best thing to do is to save the victims before they're even put in the murderous situation. A smart idea, but in order to do this, he has to start with the first girl, a missing girl named Hinazuki. And that's kind of where our series really takes off, because for the first 8 or 9 episodes of a 12-episode show, Satoru is just trying to save Hinazuki. And that is where Erased pissed people off, even if they didn't realize it. They thought they were going into this surreal time travel mystery show, but in reality, Erased is nothing but a drama series about a guy who just wants to save a little girl's life. And in that regard, it's amazing. It does that very well. First up, the characters. Satoru is fine. He's kind of standard, down and out of his luck when we meet him, but he is a nice guy, and you get him as a whole. His mother might be one of the best mothers in anime history. I really liked her character, and I'm glad when we time travel, we do spend a lot of time on their relationship. But both of them are overshadowed by the best thing in the show, Hinazuki. This might be the most adorable girl in anime history. Not because she's really overly cute or anything, but because, by God, everything with this character is just done perfectly. The acting is key. The animation is key. Everything about this is very well done, and a lot of it is actually told through visuals. She doesn't talk much throughout the course of this show. This is pure visual storytelling right here. They use the animation, the score, the visuals to tell this girl's entire life and give you an idea of who she is as a person. You find out the minute she shows up that she was unfortunately, and I'm not really giving anything away here, she was abused by her mother. She was physically beaten, and oh my God, it's tear-jerking. I didn't actually cry because I had a feeling obviously he's going to save her. But it's such a very well-done series. A lot of great colors are used in this show. If you told me that the best-looking anime of the winter season would be this show that's mostly gray and dark shades of everything, I'd be like, you're crazy. But it's a great looking show because it creates such a level of atmosphere. There's nothing bizarre or different about anything, but it just looks great, and all that really works. There's so many great scenes with Hinazuki as you just see how she thinks, and you just realize this dark situation, and you just want Satoru to save her. And as everything about it unfolds, I'm just getting more and more engrossed, and I couldn't wait for each episode as I wanted to see him save this girl and just give her a better life. Just, by God, will the world just help this child? And that brings us to why the mystery doesn't work. If you noticed, with everything I just said, I really didn't find the mystery interesting. I mean, I really like Satoru's mother, but once we get into the Hinazuki storyline, it engrosses everything. It consumes the whole series. It wouldn't shock me if the director was so much more interested in telling this story than what they were supposed to tell with the murder that they just sort of got obsessed with this and put everything into it. Now, again, I don't know how the manga goes. I haven't read it. But if it's anything like this series, then yeah, it very much focuses on this drama element. And when it does go back to the mystery, it's not bad, but I just don't care. I love the thing with Hinazuki so much. And on top of that, who the killer is incredibly obvious. You'll know it the minute that character walks onto screen. And honestly, the time travel element really isn't used very well. It pretty much is just used for Satoru's motivation for why he wants to save Hinazuki, because he knows what's about to happen. But the thing is that really, you could have just had Satoru be this kid who, I don't know, has a crush on her or just wants to help, and it would have been little to no different. The two actors who play Satoru, the child and the adult, do a very good job, and I like the way they balance it out as they both get enough time to really get into the character, but it ultimately doesn't affect anything. The thing is that a child could still do everything Satoru does to save this girl, and really, once that story arc is over, I won't spoil how it goes, obviously, the series just kind of meanders, tries to get you back into the mystery by doing some really over-the-top stuff, and then it just ends. There's really nothing that interesting that this brings to the concept of time travel. There's a point where he goes back to the present to get back on the mystery plot, and Hinazuki's not even mentioned for those one or two episodes, except in sort of a thing to show what his time travel is doing, but it's very boring. It's just generic stuff. There's really nothing that great at play in these elements. Even the animation looks very plain, very standard. It's not bad, but again, you just look at this town and you look at the people in it and you look at these characters and you look at this girl and you're like, I want to be there. I want to see that unfold. I want 13 episodes of just that, not this generically boring mystery. And that's why I think the ending disappointed. It's not really done bad. I mean, there's something really stupid that happens toward the end, but if the series focused on a mystery and a cat and mouse game, you could have made this work just fine. Okay, it wouldn't have been the greatest thing ever, but at least it would have worked. And I don't think the mystery works here because I just don't care. I want to watch the Hinazuki story. I literally had this moment when I realized the Hinazuki story arc was over where I'm like, just make the next 3 episodes following her with where she goes. Like, I just don't really care. And again, yeah, that's kind of all I can say about it, is that this series is just sort of one thing trying to be something else and then forces it to be that other thing, and it does leave a sour taste in your mouth, and I was shaking my head at the finale. But that does bring up the question, is Erase still worth checking out going into the future? Yes! The drama element is done well. Everything with Hinazuki, I think, is as close to perfect as possible. And the thing is that even though the mystery isn't done well, really, once you know what you're getting going into it, it leaves such a little impact. I know people who started this show like a week before it ended who were told what sort of the negative direction it was going in, and because of this, we're just able to get into what was good about it without having to worry about anything. So my recommendation, check this show out. It really is deserving of all its hype, even if it doesn't resolve itself in the direction. And normally I think the ending is paramount, but this is one of those exceptions. This is one of those rare times where what's given to me in the middle is so much interesting and so great. I would gladly sit through the show again, knowing where it goes, and just pretending that doesn't happen. But what did you think? In the comments section below, give me your thoughts on Erased, what your favorite anime was of the winter season, and as always, click to like and click to subscribe so we can see where things go in the spring.